Have you ever felt that uncomfortable sensation after opening up to someone? As if you had said too much, as if, for a moment, you exposed more of yourself than you should have. It's a quiet feeling that comes after the words have been spoken, a subtle, almost imperceptible regret that weighs heavy in your chest. Sometimes, you can't even explain why. But the truth is, it goes beyond social discomfort. It goes beyond the fear of judgment. What many people don't realize is that every time you share something deeply personal, energy is being exchanged. And not all energy, not all intentions are positive. We live in an era of oversharing photos, plans, ideas, feelings, failures, and even victories. Exposure has become the norm. But there is a silent cost to this constant openness, the scattering of your vital force. Every time you reveal something meaningful, you give away a part of your energy, and it doesn't always come back the way you expected. Some things, when spoken too soon, lose their power. Others, when heard by the wrong people, become seeds of doubt, envy, or resistance. In this video, we'll explore 5 areas of your life that, if shared without wisdom, can weaken your energy, block your progress, and open doors to external interference. This is not about living in fear or hiding away. It's about learning to protect what is sacred. Because there are moments in life when silence is more powerful than any word, and there are truths that can only bloom when nurtured in silence. Are you ready to discover what should never be spoken out loud? Before we dive into the 5 areas of your life that should be protected, there's a truth that is often overlooked. Your words carry energy. Every time you speak about something important, a plan, a dream, a feeling, an experience, you are setting a vibrational charge in motion. You're releasing a part of your essence into the world, and the world doesn't always know what to do with it. Think of your attention like a beam of light. Wherever you direct it, you give life. Wherever you focus, you build. But when you start sharing too much, that beam scatters. Instead of lighting one clear path, it weakens and disperses. Your words, no matter how sincere or well-meaning, can become fragile in the wrong hands. Not necessarily out of malice, but out of ignorance, skepticism, or simple energetic incompatibility. Not everyone who listens has the capacity to understand. And worse, not everyone who listens is rooting for you. Sometimes, all it takes is a poorly timed comment, a sarcastic laugh, or a dismissive glance to plant a seed of doubt where there once was certainty. And doubt, once it takes root, delays, distracts, and drains you. That's why silence is not cowardice, it's protection, it's spiritual maturity. It's the conscious choice to keep your energy focused, aligned, and strong. Knowing when to remain silent is an art. And in this art, those who master silence, master themselves. The world is full of noise, but your path is only built when your inner voice becomes louder than the noise around you. And that voice is often only heard when you choose to retreat, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Now that you understand the power that lies in silence, it's time to reveal the first secret that must be protected: your biggest dreams. Those dreams that live deep within you, the ones that fuel your will to keep going, even on the hardest days. The dreams that haven't come true yet, but already shine inside your heart like a quiet promise. These are the first things you must learn to guard. There's a common illusion, the idea that sharing our dreams brings us closer to them. We think that by telling someone, we'll receive support, encouragement, or maybe even admiration. And sometimes, that does happen. But often, the effect is the opposite. When you talk about a big plan, your mind experiences a premature sense of accomplishment. It's as if saying, "I'm going to write a book," or "I want to start my own business," tricks your brain into believing the work is already done, and so it relaxes. The urgency fades. The energy drops. Action becomes less likely. Besides, dreams are fragile in their early stages. They are like seeds still buried in the soil. To expose a dream too soon is like digging up the seed before it has a chance to sprout. What could have bloomed with time and silence is suffocated by others' doubts. Not always out of malice, but because people see the world through their own limitations. They project their fears, frustrations, and beliefs onto you. And your dream, no matter how pure, gets judged through eyes that don't understand its origin. Sometimes, judgment comes disguised as advice. But does that make money? Don't you think it's risky? What if it doesn't work out? Other times, the judgment is silent, but its impact cuts deep. A raised eyebrow, a skeptical glance, a subtle comment, those things echo in your mind. And slowly, you start to wonder, am I dreaming too big? Keeping your dreams to yourself isn't hiding from the world. It's giving them the time and space they need to grow strong, far from the winds of other people's opinions. It's working in silence, building with focus, and letting the results speak for themselves. A true dream doesn't need an audience, it needs action. And when you finally reach what you've been striving for, it won't be for the applause. It will be for purpose. Because you believed when no one else could see. Because you protected what was sacred. Because you understood that dreaming big is already bold, but speaking too loudly about your dream is even riskier. So remember, if it's big, if it's important, if it's deep, guard it. Not out of fear, but out of love for what you are creating. Because dreams were never meant to be displayed. They were meant to be lived. If protecting your biggest dreams is essential, keeping your next step to yourself is even more strategic. There's a subtle yet powerful difference between what you envision for the long term and what you're about to do right now. The dream is the vision. The next step is the movement. And when that movement becomes too visible, it can be intercepted. Not by weapons or direct threats, but by doubts, distractions, interference, and invisible pressures. Talking too much about what you're going to do is like revealing your game strategy before making a move. You give away your advantage, expose your intentions, and leak your energy. Worse still, you invite people to place their expectations or criticisms on something that is still taking shape. Many promising plans fall apart before they even begin, not because they lacked potential, but because they were overexposed. When you share what you're about to do, you risk receiving unsolicited advice. People who've never done what you're trying to do, yet somehow have strong opinions about it. Suggestions that confuse you. Criticism that discourages, comments that seem harmless at first but, in vulnerable moments, become seeds of doubt and surrender. And then there's the pressure. When you say things like, I'm moving to a new city, I'm quitting my job, or I'm finally starting that project, you unintentionally invite people to check in on you. So, did you do it yet? When's it happening? Why haven't you started? That pressure may seem motivating at first, but it quickly turns into anxiety. You begin to rush in order to meet other people's expectations, rather than honoring your own pace. There's also a harder truth to accept. Not everyone wants to see you grow. Some people, consciously or not, feel threatened by your progress. When they notice that you're moving forward, even silently, they try to pull you back to where you were. Sometimes it's out of fear of losing you. Other times, it's simply because they can't stand to see someone doing what they themselves are too afraid to attempt. That's why protecting your next step is an act of emotional intelligence. It's moving forward without making noise. It's walking in confidence without needing validation. When you act in silence, you remain in control, preserve your energy, and avoid interference. And most importantly, you hear your own intuition more clearly. Let others see the results, not the drafts. Walk without announcing. Build without broadcasting. Because the truest kind of success is the one that happens when no one's watching, and still, it changes everything. Few topics stir up as much emotion as money. It's not just a tool for exchange, it's also a symbol of value, status, power, and security. That's why talking about your financial situation, whether positive or negative, can open doors you might not want to walk through. More than just a personal detail, your relationship with money is an energetic field, and for that very reason, it demands discretion. When you share your financial situation with people who don't have your full trust, you expose yourself to a range of silent risks. If you're doing well, it may trigger envy, comparison, or misunderstanding. People close to you may begin treating you differently with distance or with interest. Others may feel inferior, even if you never bragged. Simply revealing how much you earn, where you invest, or what you're planning to buy can make people see you differently and not always in a positive light. On the other hand, if you're going through a difficult time, speaking openly about it can also be a mistake. Some may offer empty advice, judgment disguised as empathy, or even distort what you said. Instead of genuine support, you might end up receiving pity on. That energy of self-pity can trap you even more than the lack of money itself. Then there's the more direct risk, being seen as a source of benefit. People may start asking for favors, loans, temporary help. And when you say no even for good reason, you might be labeled selfish or cold. When you share that you have, many feel entitled to what's yours. When you share that you don't, some assume you're incapable. There's also a more subtle and dangerous factor, energetic imbalance. By exposing your financial ups and downs, you disrupt the energetic field that governs your relationship with abundance. It's as if, by making public what should remain intimate, you break the silent thread of trust that connects you to prosperity. Money demands respect, neutrality, and discretion. It doesn't respond well to noise, showiness, or desperation. It feels safest when protected, quietly managed, and deeply honored. And you, as the guardian of this energy, must be mindful of who you share this power with because yes, money is also power. If you need to talk about your finances, speak to someone who can help in a concrete way, a financial advisor, a therapist, or a deeply trusted partner. Beyond that, let silence be your shield. The more you respect the mystery of your prosperity, the more the universe trusts you are ready to expand it. When we're hurt, it's natural to seek a friendly shoulder, someone to listen, to validate our pain, to tell us we're right. And often this search leads us to say too much about something that should be handled within the quiet of home. Family conflicts. It's understandable. Family is where our deepest affections are born and also where some of our most painful wounds take root. But precisely because it is such a sensitive space, it demands protection. Talking about your family problems with outsiders may feel like harmless venting, but in reality, it's like opening the curtains of a home that's still in disarray. People will look in, form opinions, judge, and rarely will they understand the complexity of what you're going through, because no family is simple. Behind every conflict are years of history, inherited pain, unconscious patterns, and invisible agreements. Outsiders only see the surface. And the danger here is twofold. First, you risk painting a distorted image of your loved ones. The people you confide in will begin to judge your mother, your father, your siblings, or your partner based on fragments on moments of anger, words spoken in the heat of resentment, and even if you forgive one day, they may never forget what they heard. Second, you open yourself up to gossip. Not always out of malice, but out of carelessness. A casual comment here, a confidential remark there, and suddenly, what was once a private conflict becomes public conversation. At that point, you lose control of the narrative, of reputations, and sometimes, even of your own peace. Family conflicts should be resolved within the family itself, with the help of qualified professionals, not with coworkers, neighbors, or friends who, no matter how well-intentioned, do not carry the emotional history that you do. Protecting your family is also a way of protecting yourself. Not everything needs to be said. Not every pain needs an audience. Few things are as intimate as a spiritual experience. It's that silent moment when you feel without needing to understand. When something invisible touches your soul so deeply that words fall short. It might happen during prayer, in a symbolic dream, through an unexplainable synchronicity, or in a moment of pure silence when, suddenly, everything makes sense. These experiences are like spiritual pearls, delicate, sacred, and for that very reason, they should not be offered to just any ears. When you share a spiritual experience with someone who isn't on the same level of consciousness, chances are it will be seen as an exaggeration, superstition, or fantasy. And there's nothing more painful than watching something divine be reduced to a cold explanation or met with sarcastic laughter. It's as if the light you felt within you is suddenly dimmed by a skeptical glance. What's more, exposing your spiritual path can invite unnecessary conflict. Some people don't seek to understand, they seek to argue. They turn spirituality into a battlefield. And when that happens, you shift out of the heart's frequency and into the vibration of the ego. The meaning is lost. The connection fades. The most sacred parts of your life don't need external validation. Not everyone is meant to understand what you've experienced. Sometimes, the universe shows you something simply because you were ready, not anyone else. Sharing that with someone who hasn't awakened is like trying to describe the color of the sky to someone who's never opened their eyes. Of course, you may find souls with whom you can share the journey, but choose wisely. Speak to those who resonate on the same frequency, those who honor the unseen, those who don't need to prove but simply feel. Because some revelations were never meant to be spoken, they were meant to be lived, in silence, in depth, in reverence. After understanding the impact of overspeaking, one truth becomes clear. Silence is more than the absence of words. It's an active presence. It doesn't mean omission, it means energetic protection. It's the space where you can truly hear yourself, free from the noise of expectations, untouched by external opinions, without needing to translate what only the soul can understand. Silence is where focus is born. While you talk about what you're going to do, your energy scatters. But when you remain quiet, it concentrates. And when energy concentrates, it creates, it builds, it manifests. Inner focus is what transforms intention into reality. It's what keeps your mind steady when the outside world tries to pull you away. It's the flame that burns without needing to be put on display. Modern life conditions us to share everything where we are, what we feel, what we desire. But true power is born in the opposite, in the unseen, in what no one can judge or distort, in what you guard with reverence, like a garden still waiting to bloom. Gradually, you begin to realize that you no longer need anyone's approval, that you don't have to say everything just to be heard, that the peace found in silence is far stronger than any fleeting validation. And when someone asks, "Why have you been so quiet lately?" perhaps the answer is simple, because now you understand that some things grow better in the shadows, that some victories only bloom when they're not announced, that there is power in the place you once mistook for emptiness, and more than anything, that your focus is too sacred to be wasted on noise. Understanding the importance of silence is the first step. The second is learning how to sustain it. In a world that constantly pushes us outside of ourselves, protecting your own energy becomes an act of resistance and of self-love. For that, you must cultivate simple yet powerful strategies that keep your energetic field clear, strong, and centered. The first strategy is setting boundaries. Before any conversation, ask yourself, does this really need to be shared? With this person, at this moment? Not every space is safe. Not every question deserves an answer. When you consciously choose what to reveal and what to keep to yourself, you reclaim ownership of your story. The second strategy is practicing discernment. Notice how you feel after speaking with certain people. Some lift you up, others drain you. Learn to tell the difference. Your intuition knows. If something inside you tightens as you begin to stop, the body speaks what the mind often doesn't want to admit. Third, keep your focus turned inward. Instead of feeding conversations about your plans, feed silent action. Channel the energy of words into building. Let your results speak for you. And finally, strengthen your inner world. Meditate. Breathe. Give thanks. Tend to your silence as if it were a sacred temple. When your inner life is strong, the outer world loses its grip on you. These practices don't require perfection, just consistency. Over time, you'll notice that the less you speak about what matters most, the more things begin to unfold, as if the universe honors your silence. As if at last, you are ready to live what you once only announced. Not everything that's true needs to be spoken. Not everything that's valuable needs to be displayed. Throughout this video, you've come to understand that certain aspects of your life, your dreams, your plans, your finances, your conflicts, and your spiritual experiences flourish best when protected. This isn't about fear or secrecy, it's about respect. Respect for yourself, for your journey, for your energy. When you choose silence, you're not diminishing yourself, you're strengthening yourself. You're telling the universe, I trust my path. You're stepping away from the need for validation and moving closer to your deepest truth. Because, in the end, it's not about who understands you, it's about you understanding yourself, listening to yourself, and protecting yourself. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here, we share reflections that empower, awaken, and transform. Leave a like so this message can reach more people. And if you feel inspired, share in the comments. Have you ever regretted saying too much? When did you realize the value of silence? Your story might help someone, and your presence here is already part of the change.